Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are going to be continuing our AFL 2023 fixture reactions. And in today's video, we are going to be doing one for the Hawthorn Hawks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into things. So we do all know the drill. Over halfway now through the series, which is amazing to see. We are definitely getting through it now, which is great to see. West Coast and Western Bulldogs, as per usual, will be towards the end of the series. Let's go ahead, hop right into today's video with the first game for Hawthorn season being Hawthorn versus Essendon. A requested rivalry here at the MCG in round one, and that's going to be packed out MCG for these two sides, and a really interesting contest in round one as well. This should be a cracking game. Not sure who's going to win it. I'd probably say Essendon probably have a little bit of a better chance than Hawthorn, but look, I reckon for round one, this is going to be a real 50-50 game. This one, a really good game, and this season could really start off anyway for the Hawks, especially based off this first game. Looks to be an absolute cracker. So round two, on the other hand, for the Hawthorn Hawks is not great. However, they are in with a sniff, considering their form at the SCG is not that bad. They don't play there too bad, and there's been numerous times where, well, not let alone Hawthorn, just other teams have upset Sydney at the SCG, and Hawthorn have been one of those teams. It's kind of Hawthorn and Gold Coast that just know how to upset Sydney at the SCG, and they seem to do it more often than not. This is going to be a cracking game, you'd hope. But again, I don't think this is going to be anywhere near a cracking game. I reckon Sydney will win. But look, Sydney at the SCG, they're either really good or sometimes they can be quite poor there. So I would say Sydney pretty comfortably. But with the Hawks, they really could be a surprise packet this year based on the amount of young talent they have. I reckon they could really go out there and maybe cause a couple of upsets in 2023. Now, round three. Oh boy, this is a big clash. Hawthorn versus North Melbourne at Utah Stadium, round number 3. Now, Alistair Clarkson going up against his former side. Of course, Alistair Clarkson, new coach of North Melbourne, is going to be going up against his former side, which he had coached for so long and so well, Hawthorn, in round number 3. This is sure to be a mouth-watering battle. Both these sides have a lot of young talent, so I feel like this could be a really good game in round 3. Round 4, Geelong versus Hawthorn, the Easter Monday game. Now, Easter Monday, traditionally a pretty good game. I feel like this year the Cats would surely have to win it by a bit of a margin. But last year the Hawks did upset and did a pretty good job in that game. So round 5 is Magic Round. GWS versus Hawthorn. Again, this is probably going to be another really exciting contest. Now, obviously, Norwood Oval, these two teams haven't played there before. It is going to be a smaller ground, so either really looking to go for that higher scores or probably really sloppy. It'd probably be one of those, so you'd either be expecting high scores or low scores, but you might get those medium 70s, 80s kind of scores as well. But look, I reckon this is going to be a really good game. Two sides which are, again, young talent around the same area. This is sure to be a cracking contest. So round 6, Hawthorn versus Adelaide, Utah Stadium. And look, the Hawks are pretty good at Utah Stadium. So again, this one is going to be a pretty good game. Again, both these two sides have lots of young talent. So I feel like Hawthorn in the first 6 actually match up quite well against a couple of these sides. They match up quite well against Hawthorn, against North Melbourne, GWS, Essendon and Adelaide. So I feel like they really could be in with a shot for definitely a couple of wins and a strong start to 2023 as well, if they can get that right foot forward. And what a start it'd be if they could really try and win 3 or 4 of these first 6. That'd be very good if you're a Hawthorn fan. But look, I reckon they do match up against some of these first 6 sides pretty well. So round 7 is Western Bulldogs versus Hawthorn, which is going to be quite a tough task. The Western Bulldogs are a great side at Marvel. However, Hawthorn aren't too bad there. Round number 8, Fremantle versus Hawthorn at Optus. Now, look, this is going to be a tough game. Hawthorn aren't too bad at Optus, so you gotta start there. Hawthorn aren't too bad, and have actually contended pretty well with Fremantle in the past couple of seasons, including a ripping game in 2022. I don't think it'll be a ripping contest this time. I feel like Fremantle should probably put a bit of a score on the Hawks here. But again, though, you never know with the Hawks. You never know with any side. And this one could be better than we think. So round number 9, Hawthorn versus Melbourne at the MCG. Now, I don't think the Hawks are going to go too well in this game, considering it's up against one of the best sides in the competition. Sorry guys, as in Melbourne. Now look, Hawthorn versus Melbourne. Again, I feel like this one should be a pretty comfortable win for Melbourne. They should put a number on the Hawks, and yeah, pretty comfortable win there. So now, round number 10, this should be a Hawthorn win. Hawthorn versus West Coast at Utah Stadium. They play well at Utah Stadium. It is one of their biggest weapons. They can pretty much beat just about any side at Utah Stadium, I'd say. Well, not just about any side. I reckon they could beat half the sides at Utah, to be completely honest. The other half, not. But look, I reckon this could be a good game, but personally, I feel like the Hawks should win this one by more than just 10 points. Something like that. I feel like they really should be able to blow the Eagles out in this one, considering it's at UTAS, and considering West Coast away from home aren't that great. They did get a little bit better in 2022. In some parts they got worse. So look, I reckon this should be a must-win for Hawthorn, and they should be able to put a pretty decent number on the Eagles as well, and win it pretty comfortably. So round 11 is St Kilda versus Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. Now, St Kilda versus Hawthorn games are either really close or pretty poor, so I'd probably be expecting one of those from these two sides. Their most recent clash was a very poor game. St Kilda won by about 11 in the end, or 17 after leading the whole game, and then Hawthorn just came back at the end of the game. Looked like they could have won for a minute there, but in the end the Saints held on in what was one of the boringest games of the season. Could we see that again here? Maybe. St Kilda, you don't really know what to expect of them in 2023, so I can't really put anything on this game just yet. I can't really even make a statement or a prediction on it. This one's going to be interesting. So Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval in round 12 is the next one now. Look, Hawthorn, great job to them in 2022 for upsetting Port Adelaide in round number 2 on a Saturday night at the Adelaide Oval. They did a great job in that game. This one, you'd be expecting to be the completely opposite of what happened in 2022. You'd be expecting this game to be a pretty comfortable Port Adelaide win, considering Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval are a really, really, really good side. So round 13, this is where things get interesting. So they host 3 Saturday 1:45 games in a row. Well, no, they're away in 2 of them, but they have 3 Saturday 1:45 games in a row. And the third one, round 13, being the best in my opinion, Hawthorn versus Brisbane at the MCG. Isn't there just something when you hear these two sides playing each other that just makes you want to watch it? This one's going to be a good one. This just makes you want to watch this game. Makes me want to watch it anyway. Hawthorn versus Brisbane. MCG round 13. That is definitely an appealing matchup. Now, it's at the MCG for starters. Brisbane, they have obviously overturned their MCG hoodoo. They won their versus Melbourne in the semi-final 2022. But however, Hawthorn always seem to be, not necessarily beat Brisbane, but seem to be very competitive against Brisbane a lot of the time. These two sides do have a great rivalry based in a lot of player movement as well. Luke Hodge and now Jack Gunston adds to a pretty long list, I'd say, of names that have gone from Brisbane to Hawthorn or Hawthorn to Brisbane. That's what makes this clash so interesting, and this will be Jack Gunston's first game up against his former side as well, which will be very interesting. Round 14 is Hawthorn's bye. Before then, the final game, which we have dates and times for. Round 15, Gold Coast versus Hawthorn on a Sunday afternoon at Metricon Stadium. Wouldn't be expecting too much from that one. Now, round 16 and, well, to round 24, here we go. We don't have dates and times just yet, but here we go. So, round 16, Hawthorn versus Carlton at the MCG. Again, probably wouldn't be expecting a lot from this game, considering that Carlton are going to be well in the hunt for top 4 in 2023. I feel like Carlton should be able to win this one pretty comfortably. Now, this is where things get interesting, though. The next 2 games right here are, again, teams that I've said they've matched up pretty well on. GWS versus Hawthorn Giant Stadium and North Melbourne versus Hawthorn Marvel Stadium. These two are sure to be 2 absolute crackers. I'd probably say the Giants against the Hawks at Giant Stadium, just because it's a Giant Stadium. But North Melbourne versus Hawthorn at Marvel, this is going to be a good game. Great to see there that Alistair Clarkson gets to go against his former side yet again in the season. This is going to be a really interesting contest again. So now we go to Richmond versus Hawthorn at the MCG, which, again, speaking of I wouldn't be expecting much out of this one. And then they have 3 home games in a row here. One at Marvel, one at the MCG, and one at UTAS. So, Hawthorn versus St Kilda at Marvel Stadium. Again, just as I said last time when the Saints and the Hawks played earlier on in this video, I'm not quite sure what to say about this game, not quite sure what to think about it. I don't really know where these two sides are going to be. St Kilda, we don't really know what to expect from them in 2023. I would still tip them to win, but again, not really sure about Hawthorn either. Then Hawthorn versus Collingwood at the MCG, which I wouldn't be expecting much out of this one, considering Collingwood are a great side. And then we go to an interesting one, which always seems to be the case. This is round 22. These two sides always seem to play each other in these later rounds at this exact stadium. Hawthorn versus Western Bulldogs at UTAS Stadium, round number 22. They always play each other late in the year at UTAS. I don't really know what it is. This always seems to be a tradition kind of thing for the past couple of years now. I think it's been for the past 3 years they've played each other later on in the season at UTAS. It's insane. And could this become a rivalry, a tradition? Who knows? And then Melbourne versus Hawthorn at the MCG round 23. And they finished it off with an interesting matchup, Hawthorn versus Freo at the MCG. These two sides haven't normally gone head-to-head at the MCG, I don't think, for at least the last couple of years. And they normally go head-to-head at Optus Stadium once a year in that kind of bye-round area. But no, round 24, they're going to be playing Freo at the MCG. So I'm not really sure what to expect with this fixture here for Hawthorn. I'm not really quite sure what to expect from them in 2023. They are a group of younger players, so I reckon this is going to see them kind of in rebuild mode towards the bottom of the ladder in that bottom 4 kind of area. And then I'm not quite sure what to expect from them. But I do feel like they do match up with a couple of teams quite well, and those teams being GWS, North Melbourne, and Adelaide quite well. So I feel like this is going to be really interesting. I reckon it is definitely... Oh, and Essendon as well. I feel like these first six... Yeah, I'd say 6. These first 6 games are really interesting to watch for Hawthorn. I really feel like that could set the tone and the belief of their season. If they lose all 6, well, that's panicky station kind of thing, because I feel like you'd have to at least be looking to win at least 1, but you'd really be hoping for 2 of these first 6, considering what I've said is I feel like they match up with a couple of these 6 teams, with about 3 or 4 of them pretty well. So I reckon we could be in for some pretty good games out of Hawthorn's first 6. Thank you guys, it was so much watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys another video on the channel. Thank you guys, it was so much watching. Bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.